Hello and welcome to episode 19 of Game Patrol. I'm your host, Landon Plumley, and Bagel is preoccupied this week, and so it is going to be just me, but he should be back next week, assuming nothing else happens, but, just going to be you and I this week. We're just going to, talk, do all that fun stuff, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, but yeah, no, nothing, like Bagel's still on the show, it's just... Yeah, life, man, life. But, and so yeah, just letting people know there's no beef or anything. Like, I always hate bagel. Nothing's changed. But, yeah, so it's just gonna be me this week. I also cut my own hair for the first time, and it's not the best in the universe. I still need to clean it up a little bit because I literally just did it recently, but it's very tiring. Like having your hands up like this, like cutting your own hair. The back looks horrible. I have yet to fix it. I'm not done yet. Like I'm finishing it, but like I cut the sides. Like I cut this too. It's just the way I have my hair styled as like this, and I'm not sure if this is how I want. I kind of like this look, but I'm not 100% sure if that's what I'm gonna go with. That's just the best that it looks right now. Mostly because my hair is all dry. Like usually, if I take a shower and I come out, like it'll like if I leave it natural, it'll just kind of do its own thing and look good. But since I was messing with it while I was cutting it, it kind of looked crazy, so that's why I parted over to the side. Is the best I can do right now. But yeah, it's not looking the best right now. But I'm not 100% done yet. I also have my mother coming into town today for you guys, tomorrow for me, and so I'm gonna, if I can't get it to look super good, get another hand helping me out, get that finished up. I also shaved a lot more than I wanted to because I started going at it and I had the guard and I didn't realize till it was too late that the guard was all the way down. And so I was like, well, shit. I already gone far enough that like I couldn't just, fix it. Like I had to just go. And I thought about being clean shaven, but I hate being clean shaven, so I'm like, we'll just leave the nasty looking stubble and it'll go away after a few days. So yeah, that's what we're doing. It's the best we can do. So yeah, I just didn't want to pay for a haircut. And it's 2020, I have little shame, and so that's been my thing this week. But I'm going to talk about the games coming this week, as usual. And so we've got decent amount of stuff coming out this week, some really cool new releases. And so out today for Xbox One and PC is Tears of Avia. So Tears of Avia is a turn-based strategy and tactics game set in the beautiful world of Estera. Navigate through war-torn environments, discover the secrets behind ancient long-abandoned cities, and decide where your own mortality ultimately lies. So, if you like turn-based strategy games, this is one for you. It looks pretty aesthetically pleasing, kind of like JRPG-ish almost. But yeah, if that's something you're interested in, that's coming out today, so you can get it right now. Also out today on PC and Google Stadia is Serious Sam 4. So this reignites the classic FPS series in a high-powered prequel loaded with an explosive arsenal, intergalactic carnage, and perfectly timed one-liners. So Serious Sam 3 is actually a guilty pleasure game of mine. It's really fun, mostly because it's a really fun co-op game. It's basically, Doom co-op, but I'm really excited about Serious Sam 4. I'm very interested to see, what the reviews are like, how that all pans out, because Serious Sam 3 is a darling of mine, so I'm excited for a new one. But yeah, that's something I'm excited about, and I want to check out. But yeah, it's basically just Doom. That's just what it is. I mean, call it like it is. Just Doom that has more fun with itself. Like, not to say that Doom isn't a fun game. It's just more like comedic Doom. But also out today for PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC is Going Under. So this is a satirical dungeon crawler about exploring the cursed ruins of failed tech startups. As an unpaid intern in the dystopian city of Neo Cascadia, you'll wield office junk as weaponry as you make your way through the offbeat procedural dungeons through your company campus, or beneath your company campus. So this is a really cool looking game that really interests me. Again, like it's described as a satirical dungeon crawler. So aesthetically, it doesn't look like it would be a dungeon crawler. It looks like one of those, like it has like the color of an anime game, but not necessarily like the character design. But really cartoony, really cool, really like I said, like colorfulness. But yeah, it looks like it's really, again, like with leaning on the satire and really doing some cool things with that genre. And so if you are interested in dungeon crawlers or something a little special, Going Under might just be the game for you. And so yeah, a lot of games coming out today. Thursdays are starting to become a new release date for games. Like Cyberpunk is coming out on a Thursday, and then I believe the PS5 is coming out on a Thursday. And so I had to do quick math there, and so I was like, wait. But yeah, Thursdays are becoming a bigger day for game releases, which is interesting to say the least. Now we have Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. But yeah, so coming out tomorrow for PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC, Troll Hunters Defenders of Arcadia comes out. Explore the Troll Hunters universe and save the world as Jim Lake Jr. in this action-packed game. There's not much to say about this. This is a licensed game based off of the Troll Hunters series on Netflix, and it's a fun kids game. So if you have any kids at home, and you're looking for something to get them, especially with the holiday season coming up, this is a potential game for that, you don't really have to worry too much about quality, because if they're kids, they're kind of just going to soak it up anyway. And, this is built for kids, so it's not going to have any obscenities or anything like that. So that comes out tomorrow. Also tomorrow, Port Royale 4 for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Set sail and join the colonial powers of Spain, England, France, and the Netherlands in their fight for supremacy of the Caribbean in the 17th century. So this, I feel like I can best describe it as a mix between Sea of Thieves and Crusader Kings. And so it has kind of a historical aspect to it, and it's kind of like Crusader Kings, but if it was only naval stuff. And so that's why I said like the Sea of Thieves. It is single player. There's no multiplayer involved. But yeah, it's Port Royale. You get ports, try to take over the Caribbean. And so, yeah, really interesting game. It sounds cool, but it's out tomorrow. Also out tomorrow, big one, Mafia Definitive Edition for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. An inadvertent brush with the mob thrusts cab driver Tommy Angelo into the world of organized crime. Initially uneasy about falling in with the Solari family, the rewards become too big to ignore. So this is a full ground-up remake of the original Mafia, which came out in, God, how long was it? My gut is telling me 2002, but I could be very, very wrong. I'm looking it up right now. And of course, it's taking me super long. Yes, I was right, 2002. Big brain. I never even played it. I just know that. Look at that. But yeah, so like I said, I've never played Mafia. I played some of Mafia 2, and I skipped Mafia 3 because of the kind of meh reviews. But yeah, I'm interested in this. I'm very, very curious to see. I know a lot of people are really excited about it, and if you're into a sort of like LA noir Grand Theft Auto mix of a game, I feel like is the best way to describe the Mafia games. This looks really cool, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, it's a full remake of the original, done up with like new graphics, new content, that sort of stuff. Really, really cool, and it's only $40. And so check that out if that interests you. And so, moving on to the gaming news of this week. But sorry, I got an important text message. But sorry. I'm like kind of tired, but this is actually the first day. So if you've been watching, the past couple weeks, actually the past few weeks now, it's been like I've been up since 3 a.m., 1 a.m., that sort of thing. Today I actually didn't do that, and so it's awesome, but I am tired. And so I need to try to do these earlier. I waited for a little bit because I wasn't sure if Bakel was going to make it or not. He was saying that he was, and so I was waiting, but then it got pretty late, so I was like, it's no big deal. It's I can do it on my own. So it's a little bit later. I just didn't want to go too late because I do have roommates and everything. But yeah, getting into the gaming news. So the Game Awards revealed their premiere date. So it is coming out, if I remember correctly, December 10th. And so it will be hosted from 3 international locations, Los Angeles, London, and Tokyo. And so it'll be a digital live stream instead of, the classic environment because of COVID. It is still a thing, even though it shouldn't be, and it definitely could be eradicated if people were smart, but people are not. And so it's going to be digital this year, which is exciting because I love talking about games and I love the spotlight that the Game Awards puts on the gaming industry. While I'm not like 100% sold on everything about the Game Awards, Jeff Keighley does some things I'm not a fan of. So I'm not a huge fan of Jeff Keighley in general, but he genuinely cares about the gaming industry and all of that entails, and he puts on a really, really well-produced show. And again, just having that huge spotlight, like this thing is on TV, like of video games, which is really, really awesome, and just everybody in the world talking about video games at one time is like this is basically the biggest thing for games since E3 is what the Game Awards has become now. And so it's really awesome to be able to celebrate that and to have this thing go on. And so December 10th is when that will be this year. Still TBD about how it's all going to work. But yeah, like I said, it's going to be a digital live streamed event because of COVID. And so next up, I want to talk about pre-orders because in the time since the last recording and this week, both the PS5 and the Series X/Series S pre-orders have dropped. So, as for like the PS5, that dropped very shortly after we recorded the podcast. And so I mentioned in the description of last week's podcast episode that lost train of thought. that I had secured a PS5, but Bagel had not, and so that was disappointing, but it just barely. And then I secured my pre-order from Amazon. That was the only place where I could find it, and I got an email either the next day or the day after that there's the potential of it not even coming at the release date because of high demand. And so it was chaos. It was absolutely nuts. I mean, securing a PS5 was extremely difficult, but not as difficult as getting a Series X or S for that matter. So I actually have two. I have two Series X's. I pre-ordered one off the Microsoft Store, and then I pre-ordered one off of Amazon. I was trying very, very hard to get into the All Access program, but it was just completely down. Like, it was impossible for me to get into that program, and so I just eventually gave up. But I sat around. It took me 15 minutes past the 11 o'clock launch to get through Microsoft servers and secure a pre-order. And then it was over an hour later that the Amazon servers finally got their act together and released the pre-orders. And so I nabbed one of those. And the reason I have two is because in case anybody else has, anybody I know wanted one and couldn't. Bakel's been back and forth about getting a Series X, and so I haven't talked to him about it yet specifically. He doesn't know that I have an extra, but I want to let him know. I've let everybody else know. Like, one of my best friends, he was in, trying to get one, and he got it, so it's good for him. And so I'll probably end up canceling it, but, with all this wackiness and everything, it was like I would rather be safe than sorry. And so I'm the proud owner right now of two Series X's. But it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. Best Buy, it took hours for the Best Buy one to go up. Literally, I don't even know how long. 3 or 4 hours maybe for the Best Buy pre-orders to go up, because the entire site was down. It was trashed. Target, I never even saw. It was just whatever. They never got their act together. GameStop had a queue that was basically just not really a queue. They just let in certain people at the amount of time, so you had no clue how long it was actually going to take before you got let in. It was just, they tried to prevent their servers from failing by letting in as few people as humanly possible and just sticking a fake screen in front of their website to hold people. And so that was a mess. Microsoft had issues, but they had the best servers, and so they were prepared, but it was definitely a challenge getting things to load. And like I said, it took 15 minutes, which doesn't seem like a long time, but when you're trying to secure an Xbox knowing they're going to go out of stock really quickly, it felt like forever. And so I got one. I got two, actually. And so I also secured one of every controller. So, the Series X comes with the carbon black controller, but I got one of the robot white controller, and I got the shock blue controller, which is extremely sexy. I'm so, so excited for that. And then I think it was yesterday, or maybe it was today. Cause yesterday was the pre-order date. I think it was today. I snagged one of the rechargeable batteries, because I figured I'll put that in my controller of choice, which will probably be the Shock Blue, because it's the rechargeable battery and it comes with the USB-C cable, so that's slightly different than the ones they use for the Xbox controller, or the Xbox One controller. There we go. But so I pre-ordered one of those as well, and so got everything. As far as the PlayStation, I pre-ordered like everything. The only thing I have yet to pre-order is Destruction All Stars, which I've been meaning to. I just haven't seen anywhere in stock, which is crazy, but whatever. But actually should check Amazon. I haven't checked Amazon in a while. Last I checked, they didn't have it listed, but they might have by now, and I just haven't heard of it. But I pre-ordered the PS5. I pre-ordered Demon's Souls, Miles Morales Ultimate Edition, Sackboy. I pre-ordered the charging station for the DualSense, the media remote, the headset. Like, I went all out on like all the PlayStation accessories, everything. Like I said, and I'm actually really curious. So I'm gonna look up on Amazon right now if I can find Destruction All Stars, because no one cares about that game, which means it's a high probability that it's still in stock. And it's not. It's not in stock. Like, they don't even have it listed on Amazon still, which is interesting. But yeah. And so, yeah, it was nuts. It was absolutely bonkers trying to get either console. I honestly don't know which strategy was better at this point, because on the bright side with the PlayStation is that this chaotic launch, it made it so scalpers didn't get a hold of them, or at least not as many scalpers got a hold of extra PS5s just to sell them for high prices. Whereas with the Xbox, that was totally the issue, was bots. I'm sure that was 80% of the problem. But as far as the PS5s, because these stupid scalpers could not plan accordingly, more people were able to get the PS5s than just scalpers. And so, that was kind of a good thing, but also it was super, super stressful. Whereas, pre-ordering the Series X and S, like, it was stressful, but like, I knew I was struggling with everybody else. Like, again, I kind of was with PS. I don't know. It was just different. It was different knowing that, like, there's nothing I could have possibly done differently to get myself in this situation. I have the Ethernet hooked up. I've got it. I am ready. I am prepared. None of this is on me. Whereas with the PS5, it's like everything was just chaos and mania, and yeah. And so I truly don't know which one was the better strategy, but they were both chaotic, and I don't think I follow someone which I've been debating unfollowing on Twitter. I don't even know them. We just discovered each other on Twitter, and I don't even think he follows me. I just was nice enough to follow him. But he is definitely an Xbot, so he is a huge Xbox supporter, and so I see stuff he interacts with, and just the toxic things with the Xbots and the ponies and this and that. It's absolutely ridiculous, and so but I don't think either side can, give crap to the other about the pre-orders, because they were both awful. As someone who participated in both, they were both awful. And you'd think in 2020 companies would understand server load, but it just has yet to happen. And I know it's difficult. Like, I'm not saying it's by any means easy, but you have huge corporations, these billion, trillion-dollar companies that can't figure out their stuff. Walmart was a mess as well, and they're the biggest company in the world, and they can't get their stuff together. But, it's whatever. It's fine. And so, moving on to the big news this week. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this later on, but Microsoft is buying Bethesda and their parent company Zenimax Media, which is a huge, 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 huge deal. Probably the biggest acquisition ever. Some people were comparing it to Disney buying out 20th Century Fox, which is not an accurate comparison. Some people were worried about this becoming a monopoly. One, no, it's nowhere near. And two, it's a vertical merger versus a horizontal merger. And so if you know anything about economics, So a horizontal merger, which is what the Disney and Fox company was, were like two equal companies merging together, whereas Microsoft purchasing Zenimax, Microsoft is a content distributor, whereas Zenimax is technically a content developer, and so they are like below the scale like of Microsoft. They are not like on equal terms, and so it would not be considered like this isn't going to be investigated by monopoly, like by antitrust companies or anything like that. But yeah, this is a huge deal because I believe I'm trying to think. I think it's 7 studios that they now gain. I'm going to list them off. I think off the top of my head. I'm just saying off the top of my head, so I'll count them as I read them. But this gives them access to the development studios of Bethesda Softworks, Bethesda Game Studios, id Software, ZeniMax Online Studios, Arcane, Machine Games, Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dog, and Roadhouse Studios. So that's actually 9 studios. And Bethesda Softworks and Bethesda Game Studios, a lot of them like to combine the two. So you could say 8 studios, because technically Bethesda Game Studios has 3 different studios. They have their main studio and then one in Austin and Houston, or Dallas. I think it's Dallas and Houston, I think, are the other 2. But I could be very wrong on that. But they have 3 studios. The other 2 are just support. The ones in, I believe it's, like I said, Dallas and Houston or Dallas and Austin. Those 2 extra studios are like support studios. They're not like super huge, but they are different studios that help across various ZeniMax games. But yeah, I mean, Bethesda Game Studios, that means that Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 are going to be published by Microsoft. id Software, the next Doom, is going to be published by Microsoft. ZeniMax Online Studios, Microsoft will oversee the future of the Elder Scrolls Online. Arcane, Deathloop is going to be published by Microsoft, which means a timed PlayStation exclusive is going to be published by Microsoft, which is absolutely nuts. This is the first time this has ever happened. We've had sort of similar situations before, and I say that because when Microsoft bought Mojang, right, they purchased them after Minecraft had already been published onto the PlayStation. You know, it's already been done, and they've continued to support it. They didn't just yank Minecraft off of the PlayStation systems or the Nintendo systems. You know, like they've continued to support it. But and also Wasteland 3, they, like, In Exile is owned by Microsoft, but it is not published. Like, Wasteland 3 was not published by Xbox Game Studios. It was not published by Microsoft, and so it came to PlayStation 4, but it was not published by Microsoft. Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo are both games that are timed PlayStation 5 exclusives, and they are now going to be published by Microsoft. Like, they're going to be Xbox Game Studios games on a PlayStation system first, and then coming over to Xbox, which is absolutely crazy. It's nuts. It's insane. And so, yeah, anyway, let's see. Machine Games. So the next Wolfenstein game or whatever they're working on, published by Xbox. Tango Gameworks, again, Ghostwire Tokyo. Alpha Dog and Roadhouse Studios, not gonna lie, don't know, can't think off the top of my head what they make, but these studios, all of them, I think those other ones might be support studios. I might be wrong. Please don't murder me if I'm incorrect. I mean no disrespect, but yeah, it's a lot, and they acquired them for $7.5 billion, over 3 times the amount of their next biggest purchase, which was Mojang in 2014, which they purchased for $2.5 billion. So it's absolutely nuts, is what I'm saying. It is absolutely nuts, the fact that they bought this. And so it is expected to close in the second half of 2021. So this will likely be before, or like not before, after Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo come out. So like it'll be murky who technically published that. It kind of depends on how quickly they work. So they'll probably officially be published by Bethesda or ZeniMax rather than, you know, Xbox themselves. And Microsoft has come out saying they will honor the exclusivity deals, which I was not surprised at all. I mean, there are contracts for this, so like unless they had some sort of way to get out of that contract, which I highly doubt, I mean, I didn't think there was a world where we didn't see Deathloop and Ghostwire on PS5 first. That's a done deal. And there's even the potential that, Sony has already come up with contracts for other games. Like Starfield could come to PS5 first. There might be a contract for that. We don't know. That's the thing. They've only announced the timed exclusivity of Ghostwire and Deathloop, but they might have made even more deals with Bethesda. And that might be something Microsoft still has to offer. Or, still has to... what's the word? I'm thinking. I'm trying to think. Still has honor. There we go. I knew it was close to offer, but that might be something that Microsoft has to honor as they go forward. But the huge question that's been on everybody's mind is, are these games going to be exclusive? Is Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 going to be exclusive to the Series X and the Series S and PC? Or maybe even Switch? Are they going to cut out Sony because of all the stuff? Sony has been rubbing Microsoft's face in the ground, right? The past few months, they've been saying, we have all these games. Final Fantasy 16 is PS5 exclusive. We have all these games that are going to be timed exclusives and this exclusives and exclusive. They're yanking all these franchises away from Xbox for as long as possible. And so... should Xbox fight back? Should Xbox be like, okay, fine, you took Final Fantasy, we'll take Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom, Wolfenstein, all these huge franchises. And I don't know, because here's the thing. So the big conversation is that the big thing here, the big takeaway that anybody as in the Xbox ecosystem should recognize, and that anybody even when you're not in the Xbox ecosystem, is that these games are going to launch on Game Pass day one. You are going to be able to play Starfield for free with your Game Pass subscription on day one. You're going to be able to play Elder Scrolls 6 on Game Pass day one. Doom 3, Wolfenstein 3, Ghostwire Tokyo. All these games that are coming, they're going to be on Game Pass. As well as most likely... the entire back catalog of Bethesda games are going to be on Game Pass at some point for you to play. And that is absolutely phenomenal. That is a huge... that's a console seller right there. Even that, exclusivity out of the, question. Just not having to pay for those games... not having to pay $60, now $70 for those games is a huge deal. Just being able to play... those games and being able to do that sort of thing. My headset disconnected. That's why I fluttered there. It's because I muted the computer, so it has nothing. I don't really know. It just feels right to wear these, so that's why I did it. But I don't actually have any use for them right now. But yeah, it's absolutely astounding. It was an incredible move by Microsoft to do this, and so. Yeah, they own all these studios now. And yeah, on the question of exclusivity, they would potentially be losing out on a lot of money because of not putting Elder Scrolls 6 on PS5. That's there are going to be a lot of PS5 users that are not Xbox users. That's just how it works. And so they could be potentially losing out on money if they go over. Yes, they'll sell more consoles if they keep it to Xbox and PC. There'll be more people buying an Xbox, but in the end, are you going to be making more money with that? Or if you give it to all these people that are going to play on the PS5, because there's a lot of people that are going to buy Elder Scrolls. Most people are going to buy Elder Scrolls 6. I mean, you look at how much Skyrim has sold. Compared to some of the other games like Doom and Wolfenstein, and it's absurd. So something I would consider, because Phil Spencer, in terms of the exclusivity, they said that they would look at exclusivity as a case-by-case basis, and that could just be him saying that because of Deathloop and Ghostwire. Maybe after that point, okay, all exclusive. Or maybe, and here's my theory, but again, it's just a very hard question to answer. I feel like if I were Bethesda, or if I were Microsoft, I would release Starfield and Elder Scrolls, all of the Bethesda Game Studios developed games, multi-platform. Release them on PlayStation, because those are going to sell like insanely, and really hammer home the, hey, you can pay $70 to get this on PS5, or you can play it free with Game Pass. So like you're still giving them the incentive to get your Xbox, because then you don't have to shell out $70. You only have to shell out $15 a month and have access to not just this game, but hundreds of games. But then also make all the others exclusives. Because here's the thing, like Doom and Wolfenstein sell. Like they sell a lot, but not Elder Scrolls hot. And so you're still like you're going to sell systems by doing that. By making Wolfenstein 3 exclusive to Xbox, that's going to sell systems, because the past two Wolfenstein games have been absolutely phenomenal. The past two Doom games have been absolutely phenomenal. So Doom 3, that's going to sell consoles, Whatever these other studios are working on, going forward, Arcane, Machine Games, Alpha Dog, Roadhouse, Zenimax Online Studios, Tango Gameworks, all these smaller studios, not Bethesda Game Studios, all of those are still going to sell like hotcakes, even if you get the exclusivity. Like, I don't think you're losing money making those exclusives. But I do think there's the potential of losing money if you make Starfield and Elder Scrolls exclusive. And they can also push the good guy Xbox narrative. Say like, hey, look at us, They look at Sony over there. They are so greedy for their timed exclusives and their, exclusive deals and this and that. Look, we're giving you guys Elder Scrolls 6. You are going to be able to play Elder Scrolls 6, an Xbox game, on your PlayStation. Look at us. And so they have that good guy narrative. They're playing nice, Like, look at Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It just got announced, and I'm going to mention that in a little bit again. But, it's out on Switch. And it just came out this year, and it's out on Switch, and it is an Xbox published game. And so Xbox and Nintendo have been working. They've been playing nice with each other, And so for them to be like, Sony, here, have these big games, because I know you want them, and, you're going to benefit from them. Here you go. And they're still making money. They're getting that publisher cut. And so they're still making money. And, again, with the grandeur of Game Pass, they'll still sell consoles with Elder Scrolls. They'll still sell consoles with Starfield, even if they aren't exclusive, because it's so much more valuable to get it on the Xbox, where you have Game Pass and you don't have to pay separately. And so, yeah, that's personally what I would do if I were Microsoft, but I don't think there's really a wrong answer here. I think they just spent $7.5 billion, and they can do whatever the hell they want with it. And I know that gamers everywhere are going to be, I think I'm going to be happy about this, because I'm going to have an Xbox and a PlayStation. I'm happy because I don't have to pay for a Bethesda game again. It's just going to be with Game Pass, which just further increases the value of Game Pass. I mean, Game Pass now has all of Microsoft's first-party games. It has EA Play, and now it's going to have all the Bethesda games. That is absolutely nuts, and it is worth way more than $15 a month. It is worth so much more than $15 a month, and I really hope they realize that, because they say it's not profitable right now, and so I hope they up it to $20 next year. The PC just got a price increase. It is now $10 a month, because it just officially left beta earlier this month. But I hope they increase Ultimate to $20, because it's insane that, you can pay $10 a month and get access to like the base Game Pass, and just that's it. You have access to all of Microsoft's games. You have access to all of the Xbox games, the first party games, and then plenty of others that aren't even first party. And there's plenty of third-party games launching day one on Game Pass, especially going into this next generation. It is by far, the best deal in gaming, and no one can deny that. Like, no one can deny that. There are huge, amazing quality games on there. There are games launching day one on there. There are phenomenal games coming to Game Pass and that are on Game Pass and that will be coming to Game Pass in the future. Past, present, future, all that stuff. Game Pass is amazing and incredible. The best deal in gaming. And if you have some sort of way to get onto Game Pass, whether it be Xbox or PC, get on it. Like, there's no excuse. It is a phenomenal deal, no matter how you look at it. And so, yeah. So, next up on the gaming news. So everything that was announced, Nintendo had another mini direct. So this is actually really cool. Me personally, I haven't played a whole lot of this franchise. I played a little bit, and that's not due to not liking it, but because I'm terrible at playing video games. I have terrible commitment issues. Ask anybody I know. I've said it a billion times on this podcast, but yeah, a lot of stuff got announced here. First off, Monster Hunter Rise. So this is the next main game in the Monster Hunter franchise. I know it is not named. They've dropped the name ever since World. But yes, this is technically a sequel to Monster Hunter World, but not, it's not in the grand scale. It is, it's exclusive to the Switch, and so, it's probably not going to look as pretty as Monster Hunter World, but it has a new grappling hook system, so you can swing around like Spider-Man. It's got a whole bunch of cool monsters, and it's also going to have some compatibility with another Monster Hunter game that got announced, Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin. So, Monster Hunter Rise is coming out March 26th, 2021. So we have a release date for this. As far as Monster Hunter Stories 2, it is currently slated for summer 2021. So we don't have a specific release date yet, but this is a sequel to the 3DS game, Monster Hunter Stories. And so, as a descendant of a legendary monster rider known as Red, your story will start with the investigation of mass disappearances of Rathalos from their natural habitats. And so, again, it's going to have some sort of compatibility with Monster Hunter Rise. So we're getting 2 Monster Hunter games next year, and they're both exclusive to Switch. And that's really cool. And I'm excited for Monster Hunter Rise because Monster Hunter World is a hell of a game. And I've been meaning to check out other Monster Hunters. I specifically want to check out Monster Hunter 4. And Generations. Those are both ones that I've missed, and so they're both ones that I really want to check out. But I've played a little bit of Monster Hunter World. It's a phenomenal game, and yeah, I'm excited. And then right after that mini direct, they came out with another direct. They had 2 directs in one day, but they had a direct focused on Monster Hunter specifically, where they talked even more about Monster Hunter Rise and Monster Hunter Stories 2. So they just gave more information and also said that there would be amiibo for Palamute, Magnamalo, and Palico. I don't know if I pronounced those right. The only one I know the pronunciation of is Palico. So the others, sorry. But more on that first direct. Like I said earlier, Ori and the Will of the Wisps is on Nintendo Switch now. It is being published by I Am 8-Bit, so it's not actually published by Xbox. They outsourced it. So, again, there is yet to be a game released on another system besides PC that is published by Xbox Game Studios. They had another developer port this over to the Switch. But it also came out with a collector's edition that combined both games and is super freaking sexy. And so I'm kind of sad that I missed out on it. But I also own both games anyway. And so, but yeah, that's out on Switch, which is a phenomenal game. One of the best games of the year. Yeah, get this game if you haven't already. They also announced Fitness Boxing 2, Rhythm and Exercise. And it is coming out December 4th. And so it's another fitness game for the Switch. So if you've been clamoring for new fitness, this is for you. And then Disgaea 6 Defiance of Destiny is coming to Nintendo Switch exclusively next summer. So it is coming out in 2021, and then Disgaea 5 Complete will actually be available to try in a special game trial event for Nintendo Switch Online members from September 23rd, which was yesterday, through the 29th, which is Tuesday. So you've got a week to try this out. I actually, reading this now is the first time I heard about it, so I might have to try it because I've never played a Disgaea game, and so I'm curious. So I might have to check that out myself, not going to lie. We also got Balin, don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Wonderworld is coming out next year. A bunch of indie games. So this is coming out March 26th. Yeah. I don't really know much about it. Rune Factory 5 is coming out next year. So, that's a fun RPG franchise that has a pretty big following. The Long Dark is coming to Switch today. Not today. It came out, what is that, the 17th, right? Yeah. When the heck was that? Was that last Thursday? Okay, so that was a week ago. So Long Dark came out a week ago on the Switch. Hades came out on the Switch, which is a phenomenal game. I'm going to get into it a little bit more later. But get this, if you care about dungeon crawlers at all, if you care about roguelites at all, play this game. Get this game. It is when I last checked, I'm gonna check now. Hades, it was still on sale for $20. I don't know if it still is, and I wouldn't be 100% surprised if it isn't. But it retails for $30, and like I said, it is absolutely phenomenal. I don't think it is on sale anymore, but Hades is a phenomenal game. It is still on sale. Okay, I'm gonna double check that it's gonna still be on sale by the time this is. It might not be on sale by the time this goes up. Oh, it's actually $25. I thought it was $30. But it retails for $25. It's on sale right now on Steam for $20. But probably by the time this is up, it won't be. But it's a phenomenal game. It is so good. I played the first few hours of it. I cannot wait to play more. If I weren't so busy, I'd be playing the crap out of that game. It is one of the best games I've played this year. Please, please, please pick up this game. It also, I'm playing it on PC, but from what I've heard, it runs super, super well on Switch, and is just a super fun game to play on that system. And so, please, if you care at all about roguelites or Binding of Isaac type games, play this game. I beg you. It is also from the developers of Bastion, Transistor, Pyre, all of those games, which were amazing as well. So, yeah, Supergiant Games has done it again, so it's on Switch. Yeah. And then December 1st, Empire of Sin is coming out on this Nintendo Switch, as well as Holiday 2020 bringing Sniper Elite 4 onto the Switch. So, yeah, a bunch of games being ported over, a bunch of cool indies getting announced. And so that was what happened with this Switch, coming all Switch stuff. And then on the other end of Nintendo news, kind of a sad day because Nintendo 3DS production has ended after 9 years and over 75 million units. So this, I believe the only ones that were still in production were the new Nintendo 3DS XL and the new Nintendo 2DS XL. I think those were the only ones that were still in production, but, it's all gone. I actually managed to snag a new one not too long ago. So this is a Nintendo 2DS XL. If you're watching on the video, you can see it. And so I actually got it, like I said, I think it was this summer. So just a few months ago. But why did I spend money on a brand new 2DS in 2020? I don't really know, but I like it. It's nice. It's definitely got me grateful for how far we've come because the resolution is absolute garbage, but it looks sleek and it's nice. And being able to play Ocarina of Time on the go is super fun. And Mario Kart and all this sort of stuff that I can't play on Switch. I can't play Mario Kart on the Switch, but you know what I mean. Like Mario Kart 7 specifically, A Link Between Worlds, Super Mario 3D Land. But I think I'm going to devote a lot of next year to going back and playing through 3DS games because that is a generation I missed. And so I've been trying to, catch up and do that sort of stuff. But, yeah, no more for the 3DS. And so, yeah, that got discontinued. And so now I want to get into something that I kind of alluded to a little bit earlier when I was talking about the Bethesda buyout. But are the console wars now just a battle of ownership? And that, what I mean by that is that I'm really just asking, and I am going to check my stuff here because, again, I always get a bunch of notifications when I'm not available. And so, yeah, but this is a big thing because one of the things that was trending after the buyout was people were saying, Sony, okay, buy Take-Two now. And it's nuts. Here's the thing, is one of the big takeaways is that these companies have to be for sale. This is not something that happens all the time. This is a huge, huge thing. Like, Sony can't just open up their purse and be like, all right, I'll take you. So this is, we're not going to see Sony retaliate unless they just happen to be planning something too. We're not going to see a direct response to this for a long, long time from Sony. Now, here's my thing. I think the most realistic thing Sony could possibly do to try to one-up this And it wouldn't seem like it for Americans. It would mostly be for the worldwide market. But I think the big thing that Sony could do to one-up this would be to buy Bandai Namco. That's my hot take. And again, Bandai Namco is not for sale. This would not be something that happens anytime soon. This would have to be at least a year away. But look at it. Bandai Namco basically owns every anime game ever. And so you get the Japanese market. Like, if Sony didn't have it before, they sure do now. Like, a lot of their games come to PS4 exclusively anyway. And so just buy that. Get a lot more money off of that. And they'd also get the Souls games. I mean, most of the, like, Bloodborne was a PS4 exclusive. And, you know, like, a lot of them have been published by Bandai Namco. FromSoft is not owned by Bandai Namco, but they usually partner with them, and they do own the Souls IP. And so, you know, that would likely mean almost an ownership of FromSoft. Almost. I say almost, but it's not quite. And then, yeah, you have a huge library, and Bandai Namco has actually been expanding more recently. They just bought the dev studio, I think it's what they're called, Underground 9 or something like that. And so they've recently been expanding, and so to acquire them, I think would be a huge thing for Sony worldwide versus America specifically. I think Americans would be like, okay, what? But I think in the long run, it would be a huge get. But that's just my hot take. Do I think it's going to happen? Not necessarily. I just feel like that's the most realistic way for Sony to one-up this Zenimax purchase. But the whole reason I am saying this is because, is this what we're going to do now? Like, are we is this going to be, instead of third parties partnering with Microsoft and Sony, are they just going to buy every studio? You know, like, is Sony going to buy some big studio now, and then Microsoft goes and buys another and another and another? Because it used to be, you know, Insomniac Games. They made Sunset Overdrive for Microsoft, and they made Spider-Man for Sony. And then Sony bought them. And now they're only going to be making games for Sony. And, you know, now with Bethesda, they're likely, kind of, sort of, we don't know, maybe only going to be making games for Xbox. And so it's like, this didn't used to be the thing. Like, it used to be developers would choose, okay, I'm going to develop for Xbox, or I'm going to develop for Sony or Nintendo or whatever. And now that we have everything's multi-platform, and now the console wars are just continuing to get more and more heated, even though Microsoft and Nintendo really don't care anymore about it. Sony just really wants to rub everybody's nose in the dirt. You know, it's just becoming these buyouts. These buyouts have to happen now, which I don't like corporates. I don't like corporations. I don't like people owning all this stuff. And so, is this what it is now? Is this, like, are we going to see third-party studios partner up with Xbox and Sony now? Like, is this going to be a thing? I don't know. Like, I don't, honestly, I don't think they need to anymore. Because if it's at this point, if a studio, like, if Microsoft or Sony wants a studio, they're just going to buy them. They're not going to be like, hey, you want to make a game for us? They'll just be like, all right, you're ours now. You have to make our games. And it's kind of sad, honestly. Like, again, like, I own all the consoles. You know, I'm going to be able to experience them. I'm a part of every ecosystem. But, you know, it is kind of sad because people are losing out because of it. You know, I don't think we're benefiting that much from it. With Game Pass, we are. I think Game Pass is a huge thing, but, like, in terms of, you know, Sony acquiring Insomniac and all these other studios, that's us losing out on Spider-Man. You know, if I'm just an Xbox user, that's me missing out on Spider-Man in Game Pass. So, yeah, I think it's a huge deal. Another thing I saw floating around was Sony buying Square Enix. That's also not going to happen, but that would be a huge thing. That would be what Americans would think would be, like, the way to go, the realistic way to go in terms of one-upping Microsoft. But again, it's not for sale. It would be insanely valuable, and Sony probably doesn't have that kind of money because, let's be honest here, Microsoft and Sony, you know, everybody thinks that Sony is this huge company that is, you know, beating Microsoft to a pulp. Microsoft has way more money than Sony. because Microsoft is a lot more than Sony. Sony has this huge tech empire, but Microsoft has Windows, and that alone skyrockets Microsoft's value over Sony. Like, I don't even know where Sony is at below Microsoft, but it's pretty low. It's pretty low below Microsoft. Microsoft has a lot more money than Sony, so they can make these purchases. We don't know if Sony can do that. We don't know if Sony could keep up with Microsoft's money spending. Sony might be profiting more in the video games department, but Microsoft is making a whole lot more profit in its entire company structure. And so it is important to note that, and so the ponies can calm down and the Xbox can calm down, because there's plenty of issues with Xbox, but Microsoft is a bigger company than Sony. And that's just facts. That is absolute factual stuff going on there. So yeah, that's just, it's very saddening thought that, could be a thing. Maybe it won't be. Maybe I'm wrong. But it seems like that's what the gaming industry is heading towards, and that's not something I particularly approve of. As happy as I was about this, Zenimax acquirement, it doesn't bode well for the future, I think, in general, in the long run. And then another thing I really wanted to talk about today is the fact that this is a fact at this point. I don't even think this is an opinion. So the last year in a console generation is the best. And so I didn't want to make this a question again, because I just think it's a fact at this point. Because first off, I want to list off the games that have come out this year thus far. Not all of them, just the big heavy hitters. So we have Persona 5 Royal, which I know is an enhanced version of a game that came out in 2015, but there's a lot of stuff. It adds like 30-some hours plus of new content. The Last of Us Part 2. If you don't think it's an amazing game, cool. I think it is. Half-Life Alyx. And I know this isn't a console game, but a lot of times PC games will kind of, step up at the same time. They're trying to compete with, to get people's money during this year. So they have to step up too. So Half-Life Alyx. Hades, which, like I said, is an amazing, phenomenal, fantastic game. Get this game. Oh, my Lord. It might just be one of the best games I've ever played. I cannot wait to play more. Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is revolutionary for the gaming industry and is heavily underrated. F1 2020, which every F1 game is good, but this one is, they took strides and bounds and just gotten, it's just that much better now. Crusader Kings 3, which is a phenomenal history game if that's your type of thing. Animal Crossing New Horizons. Literally everybody and their mother bought this game. It sold a crap ton of Switches. It is, I think, the best-selling game this year, if I'm correct. Maybe. Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which I already talked about. And we still have 3 more months. And what I mean by that is we still have Cyberpunk. This is not the end of 2020, and we have all those games. And those are just, the games that are absolutely amazing, and I think some of the best games of this entire generation, not even of this year. There's still games that came out this year, like Resident Evil 3, Doom Eternal. Okay, I know this is a controversial one, but Avengers did come out. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. We had a bunch of games, and we have a bunch more games that are coming out this year. We still have Call of Duty. We still have Yakuza Like a Dragon. We still have Godfall. We still have Bravely Default 2, if it doesn't get delayed. Medal of Honor VR, Above and Beyond, which just got a release date of December 11th, and I'm super, 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 super excited. And then we also know that Godfall is coming out November 12th now that we have the PS5 release date. And, yeah, so those are 2 big release dates I'm excited about that just got announced in this past week or so. But again, those are all the games that have come out this year, and it's because they've taken advantage of the hardware. They know what they're doing now. These console developers, they are experienced with the Xbox One. They're experienced with the PS4. They're coming out with games because they know how to use these systems, and they're just ever expanding and getting better and better at utilizing the hardware, and then come out with better experiences. And so it's just they know this is the last year, and so they really just want to get this out there and be go out with a bang. And the only other argument I can give for this, I could probably give more, but the only argument I'm going to give for sake of time right now is last gen. Let's talk about 2013 for a minute. I only have to list 3 games, but I'm going to list more. But 2013 had Grand Theft Auto 5, The Last of Us, and BioShock Infinite. The first 2 are ones that are included in literally every single best games of all time list since their release. Like, that's just a fact. I mean, BioShock Infinite's included in a lot of them as well, but GTA 5 and The Last of Us are two of the best games ever made. And I think BioShock Infinite is a phenomenal game as well. We also had games like Super Mario 3D World, Fire Emblem Awakening, Rayman Legends, A Link Between Worlds, Wind Waker HD, and Dota 2 all come out this year. It was a phenomenal year for gaming, and it was the last year of the console gen. It was the year that we got the Xbox One and the PS4, and we had these amazing swan songs for these consoles, most of which came to the next systems then the next year or two. And so will we see this for the 2020 games? Probably. But it's just to say, like I said, the developers know what they're working with hardware-wise. They really just, milk the crap out of the hardware while it's still around. And they want to go out with a bang. Developers love video games. Like, I think that's something a lot of people forget about, is that developers love video games. That's why they're in the industry. And so they want to celebrate that. They want to go out with a bang. They want to be like, look at this amazing thing we have tried to create. We hope you think it is just as amazing as we do. And, we're so excited for the future. But let's look back and look at the things we can do with what we have had and be excited about what we can do for the future. And so as we're going into this new console generation, as we're going into the Series X and the PS5, we have a lot of awesome, amazing games on these old systems, on the Xbox One, on the PS4, these now old systems. It's awesome. And it just makes you appreciate video games. And, it makes you appreciate these last years because it's really a really nice farewell to them as we're moving on to new things. Jesus, we're spoiled. We're spoiled. I own over 800 games across multiple consoles and multiple platforms and multiple services. And I am just so grateful. Like I said, I have commitment issues with video games. That's just because there's so many out there. There's so many great video games out there, and I love all of them. I'm not one to play one genre of video game on one system. I try to play as many as possible because I love most, if not all of them. Okay, I won't say all because Devil May Cry 2 was garbage. But, there's just so many amazing video games out there, and we are truly spoiled. I mean, just look at this year. Look at 2020. Literally everything has ground to a halt, and everything has been just decimated, and everybody's lives have been ruined. 2020 has truly been the worst year of my life and the worst of a lot of people's lives. But we've had so many good video games this year, dude. We've had so many amazing video games. And yes, some of them have been delayed because of COVID, but still, I mean, just look at, video games bring people together, and just the amazing power of the gaming industry. Not all of it's good. We hear about a lot of toxic workplace conditions, and, especially with the Me Too movement this summer with Ubisoft and other companies, it's not all good. But there's so much good in the gaming industry, and it's why I love video games. It's why I love this industry. It's why I want to be a part of it. And there's just so much to celebrate, especially in these transition years, because it's really just a final party of celebrating games. And I think that's important to remember in this terrible, terrible year that we're living in. So I'm going to very quickly go over the games that I have been playing this week. I haven't been playing a whole lot. I've only streamed. I haven't played anything in my free time. I played a little bit of Fall Guys off stream, but I have been streaming a bunch of Fall Guys. I'm like level 34, so I'm trying to get to the max level because the Season 2 starts in less than 2 weeks. We'll see if we can get there. I'm really going to try. I'm going to be sad if I don't. But, I'm excited for Season 2, though. I also played some Halo Spartan Assault on stream. It's not a good game, and I'm never going to play that again. That's all I have to say about it. It's just not fun. It's not fun. I wouldn't recommend. And then Age of Empires Definitive Edition. As Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition comes out in just a few weeks, so I wanted to check out the first two because I've never played. And the first one's aggressively okay. I'm going to play it here either Friday or Saturday again because it did pretty well on stream. And so I, just giving the people what they want. But Uh, it is an older game, you can tell. The definitive edition came out back in 2018, but this is a much older game that is then being remastered and remade. And so, but it's really interesting. They do some really cool things that I think are still interesting even in 2020. But you can definitely tell it's an older game. And then I played Hades. I love Hades, guys. Last plug. Go get Hades. Go get Hades. It is so good. It's not a $60 game. It's literally $25 at the most. Come on. Get Hades. Play Hades, guys. That's all I have to say. It dang near, like, if Cyberpunk wasn't coming out, might just be my game of the year. And it still could be, technically. Like, that's how highly I recommend Hades. And I've only played for 3 hours. It's a phenomenal game. Play it. And with that, I'm going to get out of here. I do want to plug some stuff as usual. Like I said, I stream on Twitch this week. Like I said, I usually stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern. But tonight I'm not going to be streaming because, like I said, Mama Panda is coming up or coming down. And so I'm devoting the day to her because, I don't want to kick her out of the house or anything like that. I want to spend time with my mom. It's been a while. And so, not streaming tonight. Tomorrow, I might potentially have a date. So, I don't know if I'm going to stream tomorrow night. I might. If not, I will then stream on Saturday. And like I said, I'm going to be streaming some Age of Empires. And then after that, I'm going to check out some more Halo games. So, the day after that. But like I said, I'm playing Fall Guys right now. That's like my main jam on stream, but I am checking out other stuff, and so check me out. I am Panda Master Twitch on Twitch, and so if you haven't already, go check me out. We have a fun time over there, growing a small community, having a lot of fun. It is seriously like some of the best times I have all week. Playing video games, talking with people, having interesting conversations. The conversations I've had while streaming, I would never have guessed. Like, we talk about all kinds of stuff, and it's really awesome. It's really nice, and I love the community I'm growing there, and it's a really fun time. So, yeah, I'm going to get out of here. Again, hopefully Bake will be back next week, but this was, a nice little remembrance of, how things used to be on the podcast. But I will see you guys next time for episode 20, the big 2-0 of Game Patrol. Next week. All right. See you guys.